Next Tuesday, it will be 4 months since the lives of 80 people were turned upside down when their Delta plane flying from Minneapolis made a dramatic crash landing in Toronto. Amazingly, everyone made it out alive. And although this story has disappeared from the headlines, the memory of that day couldn't be clearer for passenger John Nelson. I sat down with John and his wife Amanda to see how they're coping today, and he shared with me some never-before-seen footage of his horrifying experience on Delta Flight 4819.
The aircraft starts upside down and burning.
I have trouble sleeping at night. It manifests itself in different ways.
John Nelson says the trauma that follows being a plane crash survivor doesn't go away.
Jet fuel is probably one of the strongest smells I can't get out of my memory.
Upside down. Everybody, most people appear to be okay.
Bring me back to what you remember of that day. Was it a pretty normal work trip day?
Yes and no. Like the flight itself was delayed, not a terribly big deal, right? Getting on the plane, I sat along the window that day. I don't normally do that. And I realized I didn't have my AirPods with me, and it had no Wi-Fi. So the entire flight, I basically watched out the window. I was hyper aware that day.
The rest of the flight was relatively normal until it wasn't.
Oh, no.
This airplane just crashed in 2-3.
I'm not a pilot, I'm not an expert, but it felt like we were coming in very fast. And we hit the ground, and it was unlike any sensation you can ever imagine, right? It's like a car accident times 100. I was on the left side of the plane. The right landing gear is what broke and started the fire. And then we started rolling. It's both the fastest, blurriest, and most vivid memory all at the same time, right? I can distinctly remember the plane rolling over and everything going upside down. It caught fire, right? You could feel the heat through the side of the plane. When we finally came to rest, every single person inside there was dangling upside down. And then it's what do you do?
John remembers a brief moment of quiet before passengers realized the gravity of the situation.
I actually was holding onto my phone. So while we were upside down, that's when I decided, for better or worse, I called my 15-year-old daughter, Grace, from the ground and just said, you need to get a hold of your mom. I was just in a plane crash.
John's daughter, shocked to say the least, listened to her dad and called her mom, who was at work in the hospital.
And I walked out of our patient treatment room and my phone was just blowing up. I didn't even see that he had texted me 3 times in a row, emergency, emergency, emergency. I saw her 2 or 3 missed calls and then the standard teenage, mom, 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 mom. And I happened to walk up and grab it just as she called. And I said, Grace, I'm at work, what's wrong? And she said, Mom, Dad was in a plane crash. And I said, I'm gonna call Dad, I'll call you right back. And he was still on the plane, out of his seat. I heard procedure in the background. I could hear some people upset, but I specifically remember hearing the flight attendants. I heard them say, are you okay? We'll be back. Are you okay? We'll be back. Or, I could tell they were methodically going seat to seat. His recollection is different, but that's what I could hear over the phone.
What did he say to you on the phone?
There was panic. He said, I remember him saying, we're upside down, we're upside down. I smell fuel, it's hot. And I said, then just get off. Go, what are you doing? Get off the plane. And he said, okay, and he kind of talked me through what was going on. I talked to him until he said, here's the flight attendant, it's my turn. I love you, bye. Okay, I love you, bye.
About 5 minutes after that call, John messaged his family, the video the entire world will soon see.
Our plane crashed. It's upside down. Fire department's on site.
At that point, part of me knew, I was like, well, you're okay. You're off this plane that's upside down and on fire, and it's okay.
We're all getting off. Some smoke going on.
Once Amanda knew John was safe, she said her family support system was activated. For John, it was about coming to grips about what just happened and getting back home, which is where he said the Delta Care team stepped in to help.
in the immediate hours and days after, all of our luggage was still on the airplane. I had my backpack with my passport and my phone, my laptop, but everything else was on the plane.
Delta provided the passengers with a hotel, new clothes, and $30,000, no strings attached.
It came across to me, at least, as, hey, they're just trying to make sure that we had the money available for that moment.
The airline also provided everyone a way to get home. For John, he wasn't planning on getting onto another plane anytime soon.
It was kind of a race to get us a car service. So Delta was trying as hard as they could. They eventually found an actual Delta employee to drive us.
3 days from the plane crash and a 14-hour drive from Toronto to Bayport, Minnesota, John was finally home.
We kind of watched him walk in the door, and what do you say? We had what we wanted. He was home.
There's just no words to describe that, probably.
That was Alicia Lewis reporting. The question many have for John is, will he fly again? The answer, he says, is yes, although with great hesitation. His family had a trip planned to go to Hawaii, and he didn't want to live in fear, so they went, and he says they had a wonderful time. Good for him. Not just a short flight either, all the way to Hawaii. You can see a lot more in the KARE 11 Plus half-hour special, including a reenactment and stories from other passengers. It's all streaming on demand right now on KARE 11 Plus. Just download the app for your TV, and you can stream for free. He was so well-spoken. I mean, he really took us all through that journey as if we were there in real time. We're so glad everyone was okay.
Yeah.
It's a day we will not soon forget.
I remember that day and being in the newsroom and
Yep.
everyone's looking like, how does that happen?
Yeah, you can almost
That's the
compute.
question we want answered is,
Yeah.
how did that
How
happen?
did it happen?